Plaintiff Mary Lou Umar says the defendant is her mom, and they've always had a rocky relationship. Mary Lou says in her 30s she became addicted to cocaine and ended up in prison, but she has now been clean for 3 years. Mary Lou suing her mother for a loan. Defendant Patricia Hauser admits that after Mary Lou's father died, she turned to alcohol to cope with the loss, but she claims Mary Lou was addicted to crack and continued to use even after her children were born. Patricia cannot believe Mary Lou is suing her, considering Patricia is now raising her son.
Start with you.
Your Honor, my mom and I had a rocky relationship my whole life. My dad died when I was 10. My mom had a hard time coping with it, so she turned to alcohol. So I ended up moving out and living with other family members. During that time, she ended up having another child when I was like 13, so I come back home, and to help her out, I babysat a lot and stuff. And then I moved out when I was 16. I converted my religion to Muslim and got married, and then later on in life, I ended up going to jail for possession of cocaine in 2008.
How old were you?
I've been clean for 3 years now.
How old were you then?
I was 32.
When you became addicted to cocaine? 32? You waited till you're 32 to become a drug addict?
Yeah, it was a bad decision, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
And then when I come home in 2008, I got a large settlement, December 2008, for $130,000. January.
For what?
I was in an automobile accident.
Oh, okay. Let me get some background from your mom, and then we can get into the specifics.
Okay.
Ma'am?
Okay. Her father died when she was young. I did turn to alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And
try grief counseling at all?
I just quit myself. I had somebody taking care of my kids. I knew enough to do that because I couldn't do it. But I babysat her kids. She came back home on her own because nobody wanted her. I had to take her back.
At what age?
About 14. Her aunts had her. They said, now we know what you're going through.
Were you addicted to alcohol still?
Yes.
Yeah. I had to remember. Yeah.
All right. When did you stop?
I stopped completely. I completely stopped when I was 40.
So when she came back home at age 14, you remained an alcoholic.
And she came back again. And
were you still an alcoholic?
yeah, but she was taken care of. It wasn't like I
you.
couldn't take care of her.
But when you said that nobody else wanted to take care of her at age 14.
Because see what she did, Your Honor. She went and made like I was the bad one doing this and doing that.
She got an alcoholic mother whose response to her being a troubled kid at age 14 is she tried to blame me. She should. Yeah, you did have a lot to do with it.
Okay.
She doesn't quite get it yet. You sure she's not addicted to alcohol?
No, she's not, Your Honor. She's been clean for a long time.
Okay. Let me just get a little more clarification on your struggles or the struggles of both of you and try to ascertain whether you all understand what has gone on. Doesn't sound like she does. For her to make a comment, nobody else would take her at age 14. Who was supposed to take her?
No,
at age
I'm
14.
not saying that, Your Honor. She came back home because nobody else could handle her. They'd seen what I was going through with her. I was the bad one she was telling everybody, and they let her live with them.
Okay,
and then they told me they can't take her.
Yes, you were the bad one. Yes, you were the bad one. Whatever she was doing it as a reaction to the abandonment by her mother. I didn't tell you any of that, ma'am, when you went to treatment.
I didn't go to treatment.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what the problem is. All right. All right. You still kind of have the alcoholic mentality then. Yes, you do, ma'am. You don't understand what you've done. You don't understand what abandonment of a child to alcohol or drugs does to their mentality. You don't appear to understand. And you wouldn't understand unless you were told that in a therapeutic session. Whether it's by other AA members, whether it's by a professional that gets you to understand, they'll say if you abandon your child to drugs, like many women and men abandon their children to crack. They have a crack child who they don't raise. And
my kids ain't crack children. Why would you say that? I never even touched drugs until my kids were born.
You see what you did?
Why would you even say that?
You pointed to her.
Wow. I can't believe you even went there. Your Honor, you know what? I did go back to prison in 2010, and she did have my children, but it wasn't for drugs. It was for kicking in the door and beating up a girl that was putting dresses and stockings on my 8-year-old son, and she knows that. I've been clean for 3 years. I know what I did to my kids, okay? And I came back, I bounced back, and I'll never hurt my kids like that again. So for you to throw that in my face was dead wrong, to sit there and say that I was on drugs when I was pregnant with my kids. I was Muslim. I covered from head to toe. How dare you sit here and say that to me right now?
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did. You just said what he said about crack.
No, you were doing crack when you had your
I
kids.
did it for what, a year?
You still were doing it.
So what? You drank my whole life.
I wasn't doing crack.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, ma'am. We were talking about your alcoholic ways that caused you to abandon your child and damage her permanently. That's what we were talking about. We weren't talking about her. I know she probably went through a lot based on what you took her through, your abandonment. And I used the example of how people abandon their children all the time to drugs. But those who change, the change is usually a form of rehabilitation. And in that rehabilitation, they get to understand the effects of abandoning a child because of crack or alcohol, so that they don't blame the child for everything that the child did at age 8, 9. You hooked for 7 years, and then why doesn't that child listen? Why isn't that child good in school?
If I was so bad, why did she give me her kids to take? And why is her kid at my house now?
Nobody said you were so bad, Mom. Nobody said that.
I did. And that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. Don't internalize this as if you have been a bad person, young lady. You were abandoned, and it doesn't appear that your mother understands or wants to understand. My suggestion is that you all go to counseling together, or at the very least you go, so that you can get an understanding of your life. Otherwise, you're gonna practice escapism. What she did when your dad died, she escaped to alcohol instead of going to grief counseling. Understandable. People do that all the time. But when they go to treatment, treatment explains to them what has happened to them and what has happened to the people around them and how it has affected the people around them. I have close relatives, same deal. Abandoning the child as a baby. The other relative raises the child. When the child becomes troubled and the relative or the mama cleans up, all of a sudden you clean. I'm clean. Then the child, that's a bad child. Why did you get so bad? Why are you like that? Because you abandoned them to crack, mama. That's what I want you all to tell your mothers when they get cleaned up, or your fathers, and suddenly they're holier than thou. And you're the worst thing that ever came because you abandoned me. That's why I'm like this. So that's what you need to understand. Her problems, for the most part, were caused by your alcoholism. And you haven't embraced that yet. And that's what treatment or counseling will allow you to embrace, so you all won't be doing all this anymore. So whatever you went through, it's not self-inflicted. You weren't born to be that way. You were raised to be that way. So get some counseling for yourself. Get some counseling for yourself so you can, that was my little 5-minute counseling. But you need some real professional stuff, because I don't want you to keep plaguing yourself with this. How does she owe you for this loan? I heard you say you got a settlement.
Yes.
From a car accident. And then how did it come about that you loaned your mom money and now have to sue her for $3,000?
January 2009, I gave her $3,000. She told me that when my little brother got, because she was his caretaker, and when He got his settlement. She may have gotten a settlement also, but it turned out that she didn't. But she was supposed to pay me when she got that settlement, and she just told me she's sorry she couldn't pay me.
All right, ma'am.
Okay, for one, I had to borrow $1,000 off my sister to have her kids to have a good Christmas. Pay that. And for two, I told her, my son, if I got, he got screwed on this. He got hit by a semi and he got screwed. I didn't get a dime.
Did you agree to repay her $3,000?
Yes, I did.
And your only defense today is you haven't received the money that you were supposed to get?
Right.
All right. You know that's not a legal defense. That just means when you get it, you have to pay her.
I'm not getting it.
When you get some money. You never gonna get another dime in your life?
Yeah.
Are you gonna get any money this month?
No.
Next month?
Maybe.
All right, well, maybe you can pay her when you get that. And that maybe means you must. Otherwise, I'm going to find you in contempt of court. You're ordered to pay $3,000. $3,000 is your judgment. Have a good day.
She's my mother. I love her to death. And I didn't want
she
this.
has no mother.
Yep, I have no mother.
She has no mother.
Mm-hmm. You're the one that owed me the money.
She
it's my fault.
has no mother.
Okay.
She didn't tell the whole story. I go to counseling.
So why didn't you speak up? Tell me you go to counseling.
She has no
it
mother.
wasn't my job to tell them you go to counseling.
She has no mother.
Yeah.
I'm done with her and her games. Her kids at my house and everything because she couldn't get a babysitter.
No, I had a babysitter.
Yeah, he told you.
One that said,
your son told you to hope you die on the way home on a plane.
Yeah. Wow, you're a piece of work, Ma.